Hello, I recently got this die set and I just love it. It's called So Crafty and it's with Tonic Studios. They're the ones that made it. And I first saw it on Vianney Creates channel, and then I saw it on another lady's channel, and I'm going to put the links below because I like the way that they both made stuff. And so I took something from both of them and I'm going to build this one right here, this bobbin. They look like spools of thread. And look at the back too. I mean, they give you tons of different ideas and dies. Oh my gosh, you want to see the dies? I'll show you the dies. Look at all the dies. There's safety pins. There's regular pins. Safety pins are up here. There's flowers. There's sprigs. There's the circle flowers. There's signs, sewing machine, scissors, dressmaker dummy, open paper clip, sew, craft. Look at that little coat hanger. It's just got everything made with love. So I went ahead and I cut out the pieces that I wanted to use for mine. And what I did was I used a Tonic Studios paper that I like very much. And perhaps you've seen it before. It is this one. And it has the rose gold foiling on it. It's just beautiful. So I use this. It's nice and heavy paper. And then I cut out this. As you can see, I didn't center it very well, but that's okay because this is going to be for me. So I cut out 4 of the circles. I cut out 2 of these semicircles, and then I cut out 2 of the decorative layer to go on top. I cut out 2 of the bands that are going to hold my lid on and to allow me to put on the bottom part. And then my center part. Now notice the crease lines here. I am not going to fold those. No, no, no. Don't fold those crease lines. If you do, your box isn't going to set very nicely. And that's, one thing about Tonic Studio stuff is it is exact. So I'm just going to take my bone folder. It's actually plastic, and I'm just going to give my paper a little curl just to kind of, get it used to going where I want it to go. And I'm going to do that also with these. Whoop. Just like your paper ribbon. Just like that. And then I also need to curl these as well. Notice once again that we have a score line that we're not going to fold yet. I might not fold it at all, actually. This one's a little bit harder to give it a nice little curl. There we go. Okay, good job me. Now, another thing that I do is I'm going to be using both tape and I'm going to be using glue. The reason for that is the tape's going to make it adhere quickly, but the glue is going to hold it over time. Plus, it's going to be sandwiched between 2 layers, so it should be fine. One other thing I want to do before I start is I want to find a pencil. And because this is brown paper, I'm not really worried about anything showing. But I do just want to, because my eyes are old, just kind of darken my score lines, which I'm going to use as glue lines. Oops. See, no harm done. No papers were harmed in the making of this video. I promise. Well, okay, so maybe this paper was harmed when I cut it. That's okay. We won't tell anyone. All right, so I've got my little glue lines done. And I'm going to find my tape because I seem to have misplaced it, and I'll be right back. So I have my score tape. I don't have the nice score tape. But I'm just going to put mine out from the edges because I want to put glue on the very edge. And you do your score tape however you do yours. Because as Bob Ross would say, it's your world. Okay, I also have little score lines, and I'm going to have to bend each little line down. But first, I'm just going to go up and cut. So I'm going to do this for both sides and both pieces. Actually, if I wanted to and not be wasteful, I guess I could use that, couldn't I? Well, let's give it a try. Why not? No, got it sticking to itself. Let's not give it a try and pretend we did, but it would have worked. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay this down as well. And if you notice, I'm not really getting close to that score line at all. Also, my sticky tape is old, and so guess what it just did? It just stuck to itself, partial way down. So I'm going to have to cut it and redo a little bit of it. Matter of fact, if I can peel this off, I'm just going to peel that off because I really want to have that backing in place. Just makes my life easier if I have the backing in place. All right, let's try again. I do not suggest using 5-year-old sticky tape for this. I'm going to flip it over. And just like you got to watch me cut the other side, you get to watch me cut this side. There we go. And I'll probably save this for the other band that I'm going to have to do, but you're not going to watch me do that because that would just be too much torture. All right, so now I'm just going to come and cut right in between my lines. I'm going to do that on both sides because we're trying to get a nice curved shape. That is why the die cuts in the little ovally square things. Do you like that? Ovally square? See, it's got ovals, it's got squares. And we're going to do that for both sides. Yay! Okay, we've done that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold on the score line. Oops, and hope that my backings don't come off, but it looks like they're going to. And if you can get a good crease on that score line, you'll probably be very happy with your results, because I made one of these and I didn't do a really super sharp crease, and it just didn't look very nice. Okay, I'm going to come and do that to this edge as well on the other side. So for Christmas, I made some beaded bracelets. And for one of my daughters, I made one of these boxes and I put her bracelet in the box as a gift box. But you could do anything. Vianney did embroidery floss, which I thought was so cool, like a needlework kit. You could do a sewing kit. You could do anything that you want. All right, so now I have my piece done, and I'm just going to take off my paper. Maybe, maybe not. Then I'm going to take my bottle of glue, pull out my stopper, which is just a pin. And remember, I didn't go next to the edge. That's because I want to do that with my white glue. So I'm just going to put white glue all the way down. There we go, and I'm going to take one of my circles, and I am just going to match it to my edge, and put it in place, and hope that between the tape and the wet glue that I will have good stickage, adherence. There we go. It'll have good adherence. Good heavens, my mom probably turned over in the grave when she heard me say stickage. She was a teacher. I was a teacher, actually, so yeah, shame on me. But now I'm a nurse, so I guess I can say stickage if I want to. All right, so now I'm going to just kind of put this to the inside like that. And I'm going to adhere that into place. Technically, I guess you could make it into a circle before you adhere it. But I found that for me, see, I can make sure it's straight this way. This works best for me. And then where I have a little gap, I'm just going to press down and rub, because I want my glue to adhere well. So I'm going on the inside. And some of my backing is falling off from the other edge, but that's okay. All right, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your inside layer. This makes the lid super nice and strong. And you're going to fight with the little pieces that stay on. Usually this art glitter glue works wonders for everything. And I'm just going to go in and I'm going to make sure that I get glue on the tabs. And of course some glue in the center. I'm going to take one of these, kind of do a number like that, and just insert it. Down into that space. Even I can tell I've already got it caught on one of my tabs because my paper backing came off. There we go. Now the other reason for doing this is it also helps hold your sidewalls out. Okay, I'm going to hold that and I'm going to let it dry. And then I'm going to build the next base exactly this way, but you don't have to watch me do that, okay? Okay, so I am folding in all my little tabs. It's just going to make it easier for me in the long run. And then I'm going to take my glue, and just like I did before, I'm going to run it along the edge. Oops. Do you ever do that? Have things just flip out of your hands? Alrighty. And I'm not really getting the glue over the tape. And then I'm going to take my semicircle. And this is kind of important. I like to have all my seams on one side. So if you notice when you've curled your paper, you have a narrower side and a bigger side. You want your bigger side to be your next to the base that we just made. So I am going to work my way around. I think I'm going to just hold it here for a moment though and let it set. Okay, so it's set up, and I'm just going to take it around, and as I got my finger inside, and so then I just press the tabs into place. And I will probably have to finagle it at the end, just because I always need to finagle stuff. Okay, now I made my mark so I could see on this paper where the score mark was, because that's my glue line, and I'm just going to tuck it in. Oh. Tuck it in and hold my edge in place, being sure that I am covering, well, right on the edge of that score line. I am kind of covering it. Now, if you look here, you might be able to see I have a little edge sticking out. We don't have to worry about that. I can fix that. And I'm going to fix it by using some ribbon. This is going to look awfully cute when it's done. Okay, so I've done this one, and I've done this one. Now I'm going to decide which one looks best, and that's going to be my lid. And I don't like this one, so this is going to be my bottom of my box, because people aren't going to be looking at it. Okay, now I have my cylinder design, and I'm just going to gently kind of work my paper around. This one I am not going to use any tape for. I am just going to glue along that score line. Sorry. And I'm going to wrap it around. And I'm going to hold this in place. And you really can't tell where I marked that score line. I'm going to let this set up, and then when I come back, we're going to fold down the tabs, and then we'll set it in place in our box. Okay, my tube is now glued together, nice and dry, so I'm just going to fold my tabs down along the score line. And then I hope I remember which one I wanted for my bottom. Let me check these out again. This one. And you have something that looks like a toilet roll. And I'm just going to stick glue on my tabs. And notice that my tabs are facing toward the inside of that circle. And I am just going to take this and insert my tube gently. May have to give it a little twist, and then I'm going to line up my seams in the back. I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to give a press on the tabs. I'm just pressing in there, get those tabs in nice and firm. And if I have any little glue on the edge, I'm going to just wipe it right off. All right, I'm going to let this set now for a moment too. My tube is nice and dry now. I'm going to take this decorative element and I am just giving it a little, I don't know, stretching it, twisting it, whatever. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this right here, and I'm going to make sure once again that my seams are going to meet up in the back. So I would just stick some glue all over this thing. I wish I knew how to do a professional video, you know, so that it wasn't so darn boring watching the gluing and all that mess. So what I'm doing is I'm gluing the top, bottom, and sides. I am not trying to get glue on the little tiny spokes in between because I'm just not that good. All right, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue. There, and now, taking my decorative element, I'm going to lay it down, and I'm just coming around, and I am gluing it. Now on all of them, I've noticed I have this little overlap area, and I'm not worried about that because I'm going to add something else to this that's going to take that away. There, isn't that cute so far? I think it's adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to also do that to my top. So I'm just gonna kind of give it a little slight curl here, and then I'm going to glue it on, making sure once again that I'm going to start with the edge with the tab. I'm going to make sure that it is going right over my seam, and then I'm just going to go around and I'm going to glue it down. One thing I would like you to know though is that when you're putting your decorative element on, butt it right up to the seams, and it'll look much nicer. Once again, my seams are in the back. Oh, I just got to there we go. This also adds strength so that when you're taking the lid off and on, you're not going to damage anything. So the next step is I have some ribbon, and it's also a Tonic Studios ribbon, but it goes perfectly with this paper. I really liked it. So what I'm going to do is I notice I've got a little fold and I don't have time to fix it. I'm going to take my ribbon. I'm going to put a little glue on the edge of it just to kind of set it. And then I'm going to run a bead of glue around this part of my base. I don't want my ribbon to fray, and that's why I put some glue at the edge, and I'm going to have to do that here. And then starting in the seam, we're just going to lay this down and glue it in place around. And this way, if your edges aren't perfect, like mine weren't as nice as I would have liked them to be, you can hide it. So I'm just going to snip up here. I'm going to put a little glue at the edge of my ribbon. It's going to dry clear, so I'm not going to really concern myself with it. And that's looking really cute so far. I'm also going to do that to the top here. I'm going to go right around here. And I have my top done. So now I'm going to look at some other decorative elements that I've cut out. I've cut out 4 sewing machines. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to add a line of color to these dots. I've cut out several of the flowers because I'm not sure exactly how many I'm going to use. I just made 4. And then I cut out some of the sprigs as well. I have a bow. This is from a different die set. And then I cut out scissors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these back to back. Because look, I mean, they're perfectly symmetrical. And I'm going to glue those down. And this is just going to make my scissors look a little bit more solid. I like that look. I have also cut out of my rose gold, one of these flowers, and that die is also included. And cut out another pair of scissors. I decided I'm going to use the glitter ones. I cut out a safety pin and glued it onto another one just to make it a little stronger. I might use it, might not. And then I cut out 2 rose gold butterflies because I'm going to layer them, and then I'm going to pick up the wings on one, or lift up the wings on one. Okay, and I'm going to glue this decorative element right there, right on top, and I think that'll look cute. So I'm just going to put my glue on and glue it on top. And here I am just gluing it into place. I did a much better job of cutting my second one out. So this looks really good and I'm really happy with it. So I'm just going to turn it upside down on top of itself to let it dry. So I have made this little sewing machine according to Ruth Hamilton's directions. The only thing different I did was I put another piece of cardstock on the top piece and on the back piece because I wanted to have my metallic rose gold show through there. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my smallest flower that I cut out from the die set, which is really beautiful. And I'm going to add a tiny piece of glue. There's an impression of a, oh, look at that. I made a glue bubble, a bug. Tiny impression of a flower. And that's where I'm going to glue this. I am lucky enough to have one of these Singer machines, you know, and I love it. Okay, so now I need to see how that white edge shows. I'm going to need to get rid of that white edge, and I do believe that a Sharpie marker will cover it nicely, but I loaned my Sharpie marker to my son, so I'm just going to use this marker and hope that it'll do as good of a job. I think my Sharpie is my best bet. Well, no, here we go. It's covering it up. You could ink it if you wanted to, or you can use a marker. All right, I'm just going to do this, and then we'll be ready for the fun stuff. I have done all my edges, blackened all my edges, and now I'm going to take the inner circle that goes right there, and I'm going to cut it in half, as close to half as I can do anyway. I'm not the best cutter. I think I'll move it down there where you can't see it. And I think that's pretty good. And I'll just cut it in half like I did. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I think this varies slightly from how Ruth did it. I think she was much more polished than I was. Okay, let me see. I just want to make sure everything's going to fit in place. Okay, but I want the right side of my sewing machine toward me. I am lining it up with the seam. So it'll be like that. And I'm going to hold my sewing machine in place. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on this tab here. And hold it down. Oops, I think I may have the wrong half. Yep, okay, so now that I know where that goes, I'm going to come over to the front, add a dot of glue, oops, and now I'm going to just glue my circles in place. And they're going to cover up that flap perfectly. I just want to make sure that everything is good to go. They're good enough for me to go anyway. Yep. Just try once more. Make sure. Golly, I guess I really did a pretty good job of cutting these this time. Huh. Amazing. All right, I'm just gonna dab my glue. Take my circle and hide my sewing machine stand. I think Ruth was absolutely brilliant to come up with this idea. So like I said, I've linked her video below. Go watch it. It's fantastic. And I've also linked Vianney's video. Watch hers. These people are brilliant. They're just brilliant. I wish I had 1/10 the brain they have. Okay, so I've done that. And now I get to decorate my lid. Oh, and I was going to take my scissors and I'm going to glue them back to back. I'm sorry, I meant to do that earlier. Like when my video wasn't recording earlier, darn it. That was sad. You didn't get to see me add the paper to the sewing machine to make the rose gold decorative areas. Okay, here we go. My scissors are in place. The only reason I'm backing my scissors is they might hang off the edge. I'm not sure where I'm going to put them quite yet. But I also want them to be a little stronger. So I backed them. And I'm going to take my roses. I'm going to put my roses in front. And now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, ooh, maybe a paler rose. Would be prettier. I don't know. Or maybe I could do, ooh, I do have a paler rose. Maybe I could do 2 purple and a pink. Do 2 purple and a pink. I'm kind of liking that. And then I'll do some sprigs. Oops. All right, let me glue those down. And then we will continue with the rest of it. So I did end up going with the lighter pink rose. I like that. I think it looks softer, gives it a softer look. And now I'm going to just take my sprigs and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to insert them wherever they please me. I think I might have one falling off that way. Perhaps one going that way. And I might cut the top off of one to have it behind, or I don't know if it really needs that one. Okay, let me glue these into place and see what happens. Okay, so this is what my top looks like. I did use 5 of the little sprigs, and I cut this one down to just 3 leaves, and I cut this one down to 3 leaves. And I put those on, and I think they look really rather pretty. And then I want to place my scissors. And what you can do with the scissors, it looks really nice, is you can add a little pearl dot right to the center there. Everything's really staticky today, so I think what I'm going to do is probably glue my scissors in place first, and then I'll place the pearl dot. And I do kind of have my scissors going underneath my sewing machine a little bit, but that's okay because I live in a world of make-believe. Of course, in the real world, we wouldn't want that. There we go, and I'm liking that. So now I have a little tiny pearl. Oops, I told you it's so staticky here. And I'm going to just take it off, I hope, and not lose it. Oh, I'm going to stick it to my finger. And I'm going to just place it right in the middle, maybe. There we go. And I made one of these boxes earlier, and I used just plain, not glitter paper, shoot, foiled paper. And it looked really nice. Just plain silver paper. Okay, my little glue dot's being pesky. There we go. And now I have these buttons that I've had around for a while, and I thought I'd add some of my buttons. And I thought I would add maybe a couple of yellow ones just to kind of break up the color. And I'm going to add my buttons in a pile right behind my sewing machine. And I might try to stack a couple of them. We'll just have to see how it looks. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue some buttons in place, and we'll see what that looks like. I found myself quickly going down a rabbit hole. I did glue my little buttons on, and I only used, one of the yellow buttons, and I think that's really all it needed. I am going to probably put a bow right here on this seam. Oopsie. Goodness gracious, I'm just dropping everything. All right, so then I want to take my butterflies. Remember I said I cut 2 out of my rose gold, and I'm going to layer them up. So I'm just going to put glue where the butterfly body would be and drop them. I have a glass mat on my table and it's making it very difficult. Okay, so I'm going to glue those together, and I'm going to lift up the wings just a bit. How cool is that? I've got my little tweezers here. Right. So I'm going to let this dry because this is the shiny foiled paper. I'm going to just let it sit for a couple minutes. Coming back to this piece, I really kind of like the idea of a bow. First I was going to just kind of drop the bow up there, and then I played with a ladybug, and then I thought, no. Okay, so I'm just going to put this bow right there, right on the back. And when I say played with a ladybug, I meant a ladybug embellishment, not a real ladybug. I haven't played with a real ladybug since I was a little tiny girl. Okay. And I'm just going to glue that in place. And I am going to have to hold this while it dries because, well, my buttons are still drying and everything else, and I don't want things to get messed up. So I'm going to kind of hold that for a moment. So I'm going to, somewhere I've got a shorter bunch. I'm just going to cut 3 off. I'm going to hope that the sticky back stays on these. Gosh, it is just so stinking staticky today, and everything is sticking to everything. Except the right stuff. For goodness sake. Here we go. We've made contact. Okay. So there I've got my little butterfly's body on. I think we're going to put the butterfly right over this seam right there. And see, then that'll kind of cover it up and won't be as obvious. Okay, I'm going to put my lid on my box. So when I do it, sometimes you just kind of have to gently squeeze the box in, oops, and then twist at the same time. And sometimes that works. And there's the back of my box, and there's the front of my box. It looks so cute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my butterfly right to my seam. I have so many options, you know, like I have this bow that I made that I could put right there, but because I put this bow there, I thought I should do the butterfly. I'm just laying the butterfly right over the seam. I'm going to give it a little press. Oh, and then one thing I did that I'm going to have to do on this box, on the other box that I made for my daughter, I ran these pearls along the bottom. They were so pretty. So I will do that. Okay, so it seems that something is against me today. I'm having all kinds of problems filming. But I did put on this double row of pearls at the top and at the bottom. They stick really well, and of course everything sticks really well to them. This is the type of pearls I used, and I believe I got them at a scrapbook show. They came on a huge sheet, and it was just filled, and I've been using them for several years now. But that's just adorable. A little pearl there, my little roses, my little bow in the back with the white pearl. The rose, or the bow isn't white, but it's off-white. Thought it was pretty. And then, of course, my little butterflies. So I hope you like the box. Like I said, I stole the idea for the roses from Vianney, and then I stole the idea of the little stand-up sewing machine from Ruth Hamilton. I love it. They're both my favorite creators. They do such beautiful, beautiful work. The last touch on my spool, I'm going to add this lace to it because it's going to look really pretty. I should have actually probably added it before, but I'm just going to take it around, measure how much I need. This lace is a perfect fit. Okay, I'm going to make sure that my top is on and down as low as it'll go. Then I'm just going to take my glue and I'm going to run a bead of glue. First I have to find out what side of the lace looks nicer. Okay, I'm just going to run a bead of glue right down this thicker portion. Then I'm going to take my box. Remember, I want my seam in the middle of the back. Now, because I put the butterfly on before I put the lace on, I am going to have to do some finagling. And I just lifted up the top wing. I didn't worry about the bottom wing whatsoever. I'm just going to add a little dot of glue here and here to help hold those down in place. Using my tweezer to just kind of manipulate a little bit. There we go. There. Now this is finished. And I think it is lovely. Absolutely lovely. The thing I just thought of that would be cute would be to just put a pearl drop or a pearl in the center of each of these big... Oh, that might really be cute. I might... Nope. I'm thinking maybe a nouveau drop. Ooh. Maybe a pinkish nouveau drop would be really gorgeous in the center of each of those. I'm not going to do it now, but I'll probably do it later. I don't know. I really kind of like that idea. Anyway, okay, there you go. There you have it. I'm done. I'm not going to play with it anymore. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you stayed to the end, because I know it was kind of rough. Have a good day.